In 1887, a British warship sailed into the Opobo River with a sinister plan. On board was a man who would lure an African king to his doom with a single lie. But the king they were about to capture was no ordinary ruler. He had been born a slave and risen to become one of the richest men in 19th century Africa. This is the true story of King Jaja of Opobo. Around the year 1821, a baby boy was born in Umuduraha, a small Igbo village in what is today Imo State, Nigeria. According to oral tradition, the baby cut his upper teeth first, something his community considered a terrible omen. For that alone, he was sold into slavery. The boy was taken to Bonny, a powerful trading kingdom on the Niger Delta coast, and handed over to Chief Igani Pugoma Allison. He was given the name Jaja, and in the rigid hierarchy of Bonny society, he started at the very bottom. He was an imported slave, considered lower even than the locally born ones. His first job, a simple paddler in a trading canoe. But Jaja had something money could not buy: a brilliant mind, a sharp tongue for trade, and an iron will. The Niger Delta in the 1800s ran on palm oil. After Britain abolished the slave trade in 1807, palm oil became the new good of West Africa, and the entire region was nicknamed the Oil Rivers. Trade was organized in canoe houses, powerful merchants' families with hundreds of canoes and thousands of members. Jaja worked his way up from paddler to trader to trusted merchant. By 1863, when the leader of the Anna Pepu House died, leaving behind crushing debts, the established chiefs refused to take over. Jaja stepped in. He accepted the debts, restructured the house, and within just a few years, he had not only paid off the debt, he had absorbed rival houses and became the most powerful man in Bonny. A former slave was now the most influential trader in the entire Delta. But power breeds enemies. A bitter rivalry erupted between Jaja and Chief Oko Jumbo of the Manila Pepu House. In 1869, after a brutal civil war in Bonny, Jaja did the unthinkable. He gathered his people, packed up his entire trading operation, and marched 26 miles east to found a brand new kingdom. He named it Opobo, after Opobo the Great, a legendary king of Bonny. Of the 18 houses in Bonny, 14 followed him. Within months, Bonny's economy collapsed. British firms had reportedly lost the equivalent of £100,000 in trade by the middle of 1870. Opobo had risen from the ashes to become the most important trade center in the oil rivers, and Jaja was crowned Amayanabo king. For nearly 20 years, King Jaja ruled with remarkable wisdom. He cut deals with Igbo plantation communities through strategic marriages and blood covenants. He sent his sons to study in Scotland. He hired an African-American teacher named Emma White to run a secular school in Opobo. He even sent soldiers to help the British fight the Ashanti War. Queen Victoria personally awarded him a Sword of Honor in 1875. He had done what no slave-born man was supposed to do. He had become a king, a kingmaker, and a respected partner of the British Empire. But the British were never going to let him keep that crown. By the 1880s, British traders had grown desperate. Jaja was now the middleman broker for nearly all the palm oil flowing out of the hinterland, and he refused to let the British bypass him to trade directly with the producers. After the Berlin Conference of 1884 carved up Africa, Britain decided Opobo was theirs. Then came Henry Hamilton Johnston. On the morning of Friday, 22nd of January 1887, the British Vice Consul invited King Jaja aboard the warship HMS Goshawk for what he called peaceful negotiations. Johnston gave Jaja his personal guarantee that he would be safe and free to leave. Johnston lied. Once on board, Jaja was given an impossible choice: open his market to the British or face immediate bombardment. The king refused to betray his people. He was arrested, sailed to Accra in the Gold Coast, and put on trial for obstructing trade. Found guilty, he was exiled to the West Indies. Even in exile, Jaja's spirit could not be broken. In Barbados and St. Vincent, the African descendant of slave heard that an African king was among them, and they treated him like royalty. To this day, in parts of the Caribbean, Jaja remains slang for someone who carries themselves with pride and dignity, just as the king did. Even Britain's own Prime Minister, Lord Salisbury, called Johnston's actions what they truly were, a kidnapping. After years of campaigning, in 1891, Jaja was finally granted permission to return home, but he never made it. The king died on the island of Tenerife in the Canary Islands on the 8th of July 1891. Some say he was poisoned with a cup of tea. The slave boy who became a king had been silenced forever. His body was eventually returned to Opobo, where a memorial statue still stands today. King Jaja's story is more than history. It is a reminder that greatness can rise from the lowest place imaginable. He stood toe to toe with the British Empire and refused to bow. And though they took his kingdom, they could never take his name. If this story moved you, smash the like button, subscribe for more African history they never taught us in school, and tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.